Anissa Coy here with Firehouse Education and this week's Ask Anissa video column. And today we are doing our third video in our Wildfire series. And the three things that you need to know and understand before you respond to a wildfire cat loss situation. And we're going to jump right into it. Today, what we're going to talk about is knowing how to get paid, right? Who is going to pay you, and knowing how to write the invoice. Now, listen, I don't care if you use Xactimate, QuickBooks invoicing, whatever you use. You have to be on top of knowing how to write a proper invoice and be on top of writing those invoices like right now. Because listen, depending on where you're at, there are certain states that you have to have an invoice done for someone prior to doing work like this. And they have to have signed the invoice or you can't go after them to collect money. So
an estimate.
You need to know that, right? An estimate. You need to know that. Okay. The other thing is you have to understand in this kind of cleaning scenario that we're talking about, especially the clean in places, you could be popping through 2, 3, 4 houses a day, depending on how many you're doing. I mean, you could be doing 50 grand of work a day. So you need to know, like, how to do that bill. You need to get the bill done now, have a system in place so that as soon as that work's done, the bill's done, you're getting paid, right? And how are you going to get paid? Is it going to be through an insurance company? Is it going to be the homeowner's paying you? So you got to be set up to take credit cards or debit cards right there on the spot. You don't want to be written a bunch of checks. That's not good. Are you dealing with FEMA? Like, chances are you're probably not going to be dealing so much with FEMA, but you could be dealing with a state agency. We did a cat loss in Utah and the National Guard paid us directly. So we were running the homeowners were running their invoices and every single day when we were getting them done so that we got paid right then and there and a check cut like in a portable office trailer right on the spot. So we had somebody, that's all they did was just the billing. You've got to have your systems where all of your billing sheets are being done. You know how you're doing things, what you clean, so you know what to bill. And it could be that you come up with like a square foot pricing. I mean, you could do that, but I would highly discourage that in certain neighborhoods, because if I was in the Palisades neighborhoods and I'm cleaning a $5 million home, I'm not doing a square foot price unless it's really, really huge, because you're going to be dealing with very potentially high value, expensive content. So your liability is a lot more. But, you have to understand what's going on in this wildfire situation, because if you're in this kind of a situation, there's not going to be an adjuster for you to just pick up the phone and call or meet with on the job site. That's not happening, right, Kevin? Like, talk a little bit about, I know you kind of dealt with them a lot on that. I mean, there might be, right? We could actually be turning
Well, there's yeah, there'll be a spectrum of things going on. First of all, I don't know who I'm talking to. You, the viewer, depending on the size of your organization, depending on your experience level, are you an in-state contractor, an out-of-state contractor? Are you new to this? Do you have experience with it? Here's the other thing. Are you already prearranged for these types of scenarios and have agreements in place with carriers, with referral partners that you've already set up so that when these things happen, you're ready to deploy and get busy? Here's what I will tell you. There are far more projects out there than the insurance companies could possibly keep up with right now. So there will be backlog. There will be cat loss adjusters coming in from all over the country that are either in-house from the carrier or independents that are being brought in to try to start covering these claims. But there's an overwhelming number of them, and you're not going to be meeting everybody on Wednesdays at the house to take a look at things. It's not going to happen that way. Oftentimes these adjusters will come in, they will do an assessment before you ever get there, write a check and be gone. Right. And then you're dealing with the homeowner directly with possibly the inappropriate amount of money being assessed on that particular project, depending on, how thorough the inspection was. The other thing is you're going to be potentially dealing self-pay. A lot of times when we go into cat loss scenarios, again, because the payment could be months and months out to get processed, we're just taking credit cards on the spot and homeowners are going back to their insurance companies for reimbursement after the fact. And so you have to have an arrangement. You have to know who's paying, who's responsible, get that all ironed out up front. If you aren't comfortable talking about money, you got no business going into this at
No.
all, because it's a first upfront conversation, and you need to be versed in what it is you're going to do, and be able to explain yourself to your homeowner as to what these charges are going to be and why, and so forth. So this is, you may be coming in and working in underneath other existing restoring contractors that are already in the area and partnering with them, or you may be an independent coming in from out of state, because again, there are going to be more losses than there are local restoration companies to keep up with them. And so there's going to be a lot of, craziness, a lot of frenetic things going on right now. And so you really need to nail down the who, what, when, and where of this.
And so speaking of that, you need to be very clear, and this is a big part of getting paid, is knowing the rules and regulations and laws in the municipality that you're working in. For instance, do you have to get a license in the state of California if you're going to go there, just as a general business license? If you work
and potentially additional insurance.
If you work under another restoration company, will that count and you don't need one? Yes, as Kevin said, you might need to talk to your insurance agent. You may not even be covered to go do that kind of work. You need to know, you might have to get a little additional coverage. The other thing is do you have the right contract, work agreement? In that state, like different states have different laws about that stuff, you guys, and contract laws. So you have to make sure that your paperwork is correct and legal for that state when it comes to getting paid. And probably the single biggest mistake, you guys, that we see people make is they'll go and they'll work for 2 or 3 weeks and go, boy, I got to go sit down in the hotel room and do up my billing. Don't do that. You do these bills, either sometimes the bill's done before you start the work.
Daily.
Yep, and you've got it handled. But within you're on boots on the ground. You get your first job. You're 2 or 3 days, and you're daily doing invoices and getting paid daily. Do not sit on this. You will stack up money so fast, you guys. Do you realize how much we're talking here? It depends on a house, right? But if you do a clean in place, no pack out, and you clean and decontaminate a structure and clean and decontaminate hard contents, not even talking about soft. Do you realize you could be at 25K so fast it would make your head swim on a house? And depending on the size of your crews, you could do 2 or 3 of those a day. You guys, are you understanding the magnitude here? So this is nothing little to play with. This is, if you don't understand the financial side of it and how to get paid and have a plan for that, you could literally go there and wind up bankrupting yourself. Okay.
Like, the other thing to consider, you have to fund this, because you either have to have a big bankroll coming in, or you have to be able to fund this as you go along. You're also probably going to have some subcontractors coming in to do some of the things that you don't do, perhaps doing HVAC systems, doing carpet cleaning, doing soft goods. It depends on how much of this you're going to do yourself. And those people are going to expect to get paid as well. And so if you can't keep on top of this billing and have the money ironed out up front, you're going to get yourself in trouble. This is the kind of a special California edition of the wildfires, because again, we referred to this in one of the earlier videos. There's the rest of the United States, and then there's the state of California, and their regulatory environment is probably the stiffest of any state in the country. And so you need to understand your compliance. You also need to know, what do you do if you can't get paid? What are your recourses, as far as leaning homes and taking action legally to get your pay. Know all this up front and know what you can and can't do, especially if you're an out-of-state contractor or organization coming in to help out. What are your recourses from that perspective? And just eyes wide open. This is a great opportunity to help people and certainly to make money, but you need to understand the game before you start playing.
Right. And depending on where you're at and the level of resources that you're able to commit to this, both financially as well as equipment, supplies, and people, you could get into the millions and millions of dollars of work. you guys, that you're going to jump over here and do in a very short period of time. So you might even want to consider having a good attorney that you can refer to or already kind of have lined out to be able to use if you do have some troubles. But not that I want to stress that that's something is going to be like this horrible big deal, but I'm just saying, if you're talking about going over there and working for a month or two, and I mean, you guys, you could do millions of dollars in that kind of a time frame. Okay. So you just might want
One of our clients in years gone by in the Southern California area had hundreds of people working on one of the fires that we're cleaning up and did revenue in excess of $10 million.
in a
So
very short,
it's there,
that was in less than 2 months.
right? There's a lot of, well, a lot of work to be done and a lot of work to be able to get involved with. But again, know your limits,
Right.
know your rules and regulations.
Right.
Don't get yourself in over your head and understand that the timer or the dollar clock is clicking away as soon as you walk out the door. It's costing you money, and especially if you're coming from out of the area.
And please don't just take every job because it comes up. Don't be like, if we've done this where we've been in cat situations, both fire and hurricane, where we'll stop taking jobs for a couple days just so we can kind of reassess and kind of get a grip. Where are we at? What's going on? Free up some more resources. Then boom, we run out and start going again more. Okay. And by the way,
I would tell you this, and I've been telling clients that I work with for years and consulting on these projects, the most important thing you can know is when to say no and not overcommit yourself and get in over your head. And it's very important to understand your capacity, your team's capacity. There's long hours and it's day after day after day. And, can you burn up your crew and have them,
right.
to the point where they're just not effective anymore? And so you need to, pace yourself basically, I guess what I'm saying, and be able to be effective and useful and yet not, overdo it.
Yeah. And you guys, listen, I want to thank all of you guys who are willing to respond to this situation. Kevin and I have done this kind of cat work many times. And it's, you hear the stories, oh, I was 21 hours a day. I, didn't shower for 2 days. I had to sleep in the car. These stories are true, you guys. We've done it. No joke. Okay. I remember eating M&Ms and drinking a Diet Coke. I know that sounds so disgusting, but that was what I had for dinner because there was no stopping and there was no eating. A church feeding us in one of the places where the National Guard had evacuated everybody, but let us in to clear out the Dollar General store. A local church fed us because there was no food around. It was crazy. All right. So this is hard work. So don't burn yourself out, but thank you very much for responding because our communities, we have seen what has happened in North Carolina with that awful hurricane and now the fires. Our communities need us. We are first responders, you guys. We are boots on the ground, there to help people in their time of need. After the police and the firemen have gone home, we're all they got left. Okay. So I want to thank all of you. I know so many of you have left your states and your homes and packed up the trucks and the trailers and rigs and come in to help. And my heart, it just makes my heart so happy. And I'm so proud to be in this industry that does that for their community and their fellow man. But I also want to stress that you need to know what you're doing. Be sure that you are responding in the right way so that you can not only properly decontaminate and help people, but that you can get paid, right? We're not nonprofits and we can't keep helping our communities if we don't get paid and have to make money. So we've been very inundated. Like I said in another one of the other videos in the last 2 or 3 weeks, we're just training many companies right now. We have several who have come on board. We're coaching and consulting on jobs that they're out working right now. There has been some very unique types of contents people are coming across, which is so intriguing to me. But there's a lot of moving parts and you can't know everything. If you're interested in some of the training that we do, be sure and go over to firehouseeducation.com and check out our trainings page. And if you also are not subscribed, which I don't know why that would even be if you're in this industry, to our YouTube channel at Firehouse Education. Do go there. We have, 15-year body of work there that we've been putting up in over 400 free training videos. All right. So go watch videos. We talk about all this stuff and all the equipment. If there is anything that you would like us to do a video on in particular to the California fires, please comment in the video below. You can also send me an email, anisa@firehouseeducation.com. All right, Kevin, any last minute words of wisdom you want to give everybody before we let them go?
Yes, the primary thing here is safety. Be safe. Make sure your crews are safe. Make sure you're wearing proper PPE. Make sure you're staying hydrated. Get enough sleep. Be careful out there. Take care of yourself.
Absolutely. Very well said, Mr. Coy. All right. Well, you know the drill. Be sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. Be sure you are subscribed to rnrmagonline.com so you get this and lots of other goodies in your email inbox every Friday. And if you have a question for me about the fires or anything really related restoration, be sure and send me an email to anisa@firehouseeducation.com and put in the subject line, Ask Anisa. And guess what? If you do that, I just might feature you on next week's Ask Anisa video call.